We're gonna start recording and all right. So um, the first thing we want to do is anything. So let me go back to the assignments for this class. So assignments. First of all, if you want to join Zoom and you want to find out when Zoom classes for this class is the first page. It's always going to be on the first page. It also tells you on the page that you see on your courses. Right away, you'll see the dates and the time of Zoom class. It's only once a week. We usually spend no more than 15 minutes. Sometimes, especially in the math class, since you need more one-on-one instructions from the teacher, I might, go a little more than that. Then we have a little more information about the class. So if you want to text me, you can always text me or call me, but always text me first. This is my email. This is the Zoom link again. If the Zoom link is asking you for a passcode or password, is YJC, all capital letters. All right. You do have APT Zoom classes at 30% of your grade. It makes a big difference. So you gotta make sure you come at least the 15 minutes that I'm asking you for. And then below, oh, this is all the Zoom classes, the schedules for all Zoom classes and office hours for every teacher. This is actually where we start the pre-algebra B lessons and assignments. So usually I will put Zoom recordings here, but I'm going to do a little bit different Zoom recordings. I'm actually going to post them on the week of the Zoom. So you notice that for me, the grade means that they were closed. So you won't even see week 1 or week 2 anymore. The only thing on your screen will say week 3 because every week, 11 through the 14, okay, that's Monday through Thursday. That's basically when you're supposed to log in every day and turn in assignments. But I actually give you until Sunday to turn in absolutely anything you need to turn in by Sunday before midnight. So that's why they closed. And if you try to submit an assignment, it's not going to let you. But I know something things can happen. If you let me know in advance that you're gonna need an extension, let me know. Even after the fact, you can still communicate with me on an individual basis, and I can open the assignment for you in particular. But I don't want to open it to everybody because in the past, people have taken advantage of that, and at the end, they went to the last week to try to do everything, and I'm not, that's stressful, and then they get mad, okay, because they can't finish it. So as a teacher, I want to make sure that I keep some control, and I want to make sure I guide you through the process. So every week we have an assignment, and it's always going to be due absolutely by Sunday. Usually it should be done actually by Thursday, but I gave you until Sunday if you need more time. Okay, any questions on that? So this week's assignments are going to be integer rules. Okay, basically integers are numbers, but it's just not just positive numbers. We're also going to be talking about negatives in positive numbers. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick lesson on that. I have videos and I also have Google Slides to help you with the integer rules, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick lesson on this, quick review, and then you can review those videos that I posted. And you can rewind those videos, slow down those videos, makes it a lot easier. Okay, so let's start with. Let me go ahead and. If you guys don't see what I'm writing, let me know. Okay. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to talk about adding or subtracting, which I'm going to call combining rules. Okay, I don't want to call them add or subtracting because the signs are going to tell me what to do. So this is what I mean by that, okay? And I want to make sure that we're still in. So what I mean by that is, let's say I have a 3, which is a positive, okay? And then I have a minus 5. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this? Sometimes for some reason it doesn't, you guys can't see it. All right, so here we have a positive number because if you don't see a sign in front of the 3, that means it's positive. Then we have a negative next to another negative. This negative in front of the 5 is actually the negative 5. So we got a negative, negative 5. So so what we do is the signs are going to direct us on what the answer is going to be. So let me go ahead and just give you the quick answer to this, but I'm going to go through the steps really quick, okay? So the answer to this is this 3, we're going to leave it alone for now. And 2 negatives next to each other become 1 positive. Okay, so this becomes 1 positive. It's the rule that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we got 3 plus 5. Well, we know from elementary school, when we have 2 positives, we add 2 positives and we get positive 8. Okay. So let me clear this. Clear. Oops, I didn't want to clear everything, but it's okay. All right, so I'm going to combining rule. So combining means, you know what, I'm going to start from too many signs. Too many signs. Next. All right. So when I see too many signs next to each other and the key is next to each other, I want to basically clean it up, which means I want to simplify it. Okay, so this is what I mean. All right, so I know that when I changed things around, sometimes it doesn't. You guys are not able to see it. So this is what I mean. So let's say I have a positive next to a positive. Okay, the signs have to be next to each other. So there's no numbers in between. They're just next to each other. A positive next to each other. It's just a positive. So too many signs. You don't need too many signs. Okay, we're just simplifying. We're just cleaning it up. We don't need that many signs. The truth is that you don't need that many signs. Or a negative and a positive, which is the same thing, or doesn't matter the order. A positive next to a negative means negative. The answer is negative. The negative takes over. Okay. And then from the example I gave you at the beginning, 2 negatives next to each other become positive. So what do you see here? What's your observation here from cleaning up when you have too many signs next to each other? What's your observations? Can somebody see something here? What is your observation here? When do they become positive? When is the answer positive when the signs are next to each other? You want to take a chance, Lubitsa?
I'm not sure. Is it when they're the same?
Yes. When the signs are the same, they're positive. When the signs are not the same, they're negative. So basically a positive and a negative, the negative takes over. Very good. So this is only this, very good. So this only happens when the signs are next to each other, okay? So this is when, so let me write an example again. Let me just not put numbers here. Okay, oops. Can you guys see this again? If I write an example, I'm gonna put -3 minus 5. Actually, let me make this positive, and then this is -5. And by the way, when the signs are next to each other, they usually have parentheses because they want the viewer to see that there's signs next to each other. Okay, so that's what parentheses means. They're just separating the signs. So that's a hint that you're gonna be using too many signs next to each other rule. Okay, so this -3 is going to stay the same because we are not actually using the rule yet of like clean everything up. We are just going to clean up the signs next to each other. So positive next to a negative becomes what? Tomorrow. You don't have to be right. You can take a chance and be wrong. You can still get you still get a name. So positive next to a negative. Tomorrow.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say? I wasn't paying attention.
So according to this signs next to each other rule, positive next to a negative is what?
A negative?
Very good. So the positive and the negative just becomes a negative. The negative takes over. So we just rewrote the problem. Okay, that's all we did. So this rules right here, oh, it's only used to rewrite the problem because we're just gonna simplify, clean up all these positives and negatives next to each other. This is only when they're negatives and positives next to each other. This is not this. So I want to clarify this. This is not this. We don't use these rules for that because the positive and the negative, what's in between the positive and the negative? A number, okay? So we don't use that for there, okay? We don't use that for that. It's only when we have next to each other, all right? So let me just erase this part right here. And now I'm gonna give you, so this is recorded so you guys can see this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just clear the whole thing because now I'm gonna talk about the entire, I'm actually gonna talk about the actual integer rules for simplifying or combining like terms, okay? All right. What does combining means? Combining means, I don't like to call it add or subtract because the signs are gonna tell me what to do. So here are the, actually, let me keep typing it. Oops. All right. Technology sometimes is bad. I have to keep sharing it for some reason. Otherwise, you won't see it. Okay, so now I'm going to say a positive number. Okay, so there's going to be a positive number. When you, so a positive number in a negative, negative number is going to be equal to a is going to be, you know what, let me do this. You know what, let me make it, let me do this. Same sign, let me just start with the easier one. Same signs, then add. So you're gonna do two things. You're gonna add and keep the same sign. So that's one of the rule. I hate this. All right, so let me give you an example of this, okay? And I'll write it over here. Okay, so here I'm gonna give you an example. So I'm gonna also use too many signs next to each other, okay? And right now, this is the hardest part of the integer rules, is the combining part, the adding and subtracting. That's the hardest ones. So multiplying and dividing is going to be the easiest part. So I'm going to spend more time explaining this. And the reason I'm going to explain this the most time is because, hold on a second. That means it's going to take a little longer. So let me just come back in about 10 more minutes. Okay. Okay. All right, so it's because the foundation of algebra is going to be with these rules, okay? So first of all, signs next to each other, we're going to use the rules that I just talked about. So the -3, we're going to keep it the same. We are going to simplify too many signs next to each other rules, okay? A positive next to a negative, which one takes over?
The negative.
Organization, I believe.
Yep.
You recognize.
Okay, good. All right, so this becomes, now the signs are the same. So we're going to use this rule because the signs are the same. So same signs. Same signs. It says add. Okay, so 3 plus 5 is 8. And what else? Keep the same sign. Okay, so it was negative. There were negative signs, so we're going to keep it the same. Cool. If they were both positive, we will add them just like we learned it in elementary. If this is +3 and +5, then we put +8. So it's the same rule as the positive rule that we learned in elementary. It's just the two negatives. Okay. The extra step was this simplifying this too many signs next to each other. Usually they're in the middle. Okay. A lot of times you don't see that, but in pre-algebra, we put them there so you guys can practice it just in case they do happen, okay? So the other rule I want to talk about is, I'm going to put it in text, put it here. So if you have opposite signs, then we're going to do a different rule. Okay. And usually is gonna be different because what's the opposite of adding? We're gonna subtract. And 2, we're gonna carry the larger sign. Carry the sign. All right. So here the is gonna be, so this was for the same rule, same sign, and the other rule is what happens if they're not the same size, if they're opposite. One of them is negative and the other one is positive. So what will happen? All right, so here it says to subtract. So let me give you an example, and I'm gonna also put something in the middle so you guys can practice the other rule that I mentioned earlier when the signs are next to each other. All right, so let me give an example. All right, so let's say we have, this time I'm gonna put 3 negative, no, let me make it a negative. -5. And remember I told you that usually they put parentheses. That gives you a hint that there's signs next to each other because they want to separate the signs next to each other. So that gives you a hint that we're going to be using the sign next to each other rules. 2 negatives next to each other become, so this is the same. 2 signs next to each other. Andy, what do you think they become? Or anybody?
Be able
A
to be added to
positive.
this time.
Who was that, Kimura? So I can give you points. Was that Kimura?
Yeah.
Okay, positive. Very good. So those 2 signs just became one big positive. Okay, so that makes a big difference. So if you don't know this pre-rule right here, this next to each other rule, then you won't be able to get the final rule. You won't be able to, know that this actually becomes a positive. And now you're going to be using the main rule, which says here, are these the same signs or are there different signs? Means the opposite signs. Do they have a positive and a negative? And there's different signs, right? This is a negative and this one is a positive number. So we don't think of this being subtracted and added anymore. The signs are going to tell us what to do. If they're the same, we add. If they're not the same, then we're going to subtract. And we always subtract the bigger number from the smaller. So we're going to go 5 minus 3 is 2. And then it says carry the sign of the larger number. So we have to carry the sign of the larger number. Which one is the larger number? What sign? First of all, which one is the larger number? What number is the larger one in the problem? Is it 3 or is it 5? Which one?
It's 11 o'clock.
The bigger number is the 5, right? And what sign does the 5 have? Positive. So that's what we carry. You can write positive, but positive is given, so you don't have to write it. So if we write 2, we're gonna assume that 2 is gonna be positive. So you don't have to write the positive in front of the 2, but I just did it here. Cool? All right, so let me erase this. Again, this is gonna be, you can review this whenever you want. I'm gonna clear right now. And I'm gonna talk about the last thing here. And I know I'm spending a little more time on this because this is gonna be key to everything you're gonna do in this class. So what I'm putting here is the multiplication multiplying and dividing, oops, integers. I should have. It's hard to do this. All right, so I just wanted to show you the integer rule using this triangle method, okay? So let me show you how it works, okay? All right, so this is how it works. All right, so this is for multiplying. So if you see multiplication, like let's say 3, -3 times -5, okay? And the reason for this parenthesis is because they're separating the negative times a little times, okay? Now, this is not combining anymore because combining means adding or subtracting. You only see, if you see multiplication, you're gonna be using this triangle, okay? So what does that mean, this little triangle? Okay, so it means that you have a negative number, so this is -3, okay, -3, and then we have another number. You multiplying it by another number, another negative. So there's the other negative. So what's remaining? What's the remaining part? Positive, right? So this is going to give you a positive result. You don't have to write positive because if you don't put a positive or if we don't put a negative, that means it's positive. So what's 3? The only thing is you just have to multiply 3 times 5, and that's giving you 15. Same thing for division. So let's say we have 45. Let's make it -45 divided by 9, +9. I'm not going to put the positive because if we don't put a number, if we don't put a negative, that means it's positive. So, and the fraction means division. So this little line right here means division. So we got -45 divided by +9. All right, so we just need to look at this triangle. At the bottom, we got the 2 negatives. At the top, we have the positive. It's like think about a Christmas tree. Okay, the positive is the Christmas tree top. Okay, all right. So negative and a positive. So we got a negative, and then we have a positive. So what's left? The negative. So the answer is going to be negative. And now we just need to know what's 45 divided by 9, and that answer is going to be 5. So that's how this works for multiplying and dividing integers. I like to use the triangle rule. And if let's say that we're just dividing +45 divided by +9. I know there's no 2 positives here, but that's given because you learned that in elementary school. 2 positives basically are a positive. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to go and talk too much, but I'm gonna give you guys. You guys have any questions? I'm gonna start recording right now. You have any questions?
No.